jump ahead. We'll carry on driving, see what else we can spot around here. There are so many animals. We're eventually heading back towards the river road, though it has taken us a little bit longer than I planned it to. But that's okay, because I would like to spend a bit of time with that jackal, then hopefully it'll be active. I'm going to send you back across into Scott's car, who is still sitting with the cheetah.
Yes, we are still sitting with the cheetah, patiently hoping that they decide to take us on a bit of a stroll. What a beautiful scene it is, though. I love the way they can still lie down and have their heads perched up the way the mother's doing now, just scanning around. It's quite typical of cheetah to assume this position when they are lying down. Just making sure everything's safe and sound and no easy meals are possibly approaching them. Colleen, you'd like to know how close cheetah need to be before they chase their prey, and it depends, of course, but I mean, the first time I ever saw a cheetah kill, the impala started running away from the cheetah before the cheetah even put the hammer down. It was kind of trotting towards them, and it was about 50 meters away, and the impala started running off, and I thought that was the end of the hunt, but then the cheetah put the hammer down and ended up managing to successfully take one down. So they can use their incredible speed to catch up to their prey. The problem is that you often find what will happen is that their speed can sometimes be counterproductive, because all their prey has to do is a little jinx from one side and the cheetah goes tearing past. But yes, I mean, 30 to 40 meters is not an uncommon distance for a cheetah to start its chase, whereas lion and leopard ideally will start chasing from 5 to 10 meters. They need to be a lot closer to their prey than the cheetah do. With the 5 male cheetah that we've been following, they hunt quite differently. They almost hunt like wild dogs, and I guess what's really emphasized their ability to be able to hunt like that is that they have got the migration herds around. So they've been focusing, well, most of the hunts we've seen have been on very large herds of wildebeest, where they kind of just trot in and are walking in and amongst the wildebeest until slowly they can single out a youngster or a weak one that they're willing to take down. But that will change in the coming months when the migration herds disappear. Stacey, you'd like to know if cheetah cubs are under the same threat from males of their own species that did not father them as lion and cheetah would be. Lion and leopard. And yes, they certainly are. If male cheetah come into an area and find cubs that are not theirs, they will kill them and then have the access to mate with that female. So it does happen. I'm not sure how often it happens, if it happens as readily as it does happen with lion and leopard. And the reason being is that female cheetahs are not hugely territorial. So they'll move between different males' territories. It won't be a set kind of thing, more like leopard and lion are. So it's something that'll be interesting for us to view and get insights into in the coming months. Hi, Tony. You would like to know if cheetah coalitions are usually from the same litter. And yes, I think it's fair to say that the majority of coalitions, which are on average 2 strong, sometimes 3, occasionally 4, if you're very lucky 5, are all from the same litter. But in the case of the 5 musketeers, we are not exactly sure of their history and their lineage. But in the coming weeks, we are going to get some wonderful information from the cheetah researchers who have taken some scat samples and are getting DNA tests done. So we'll know the genetic breakdown of those 5. And who knows, maybe it's two sets of brothers and a random, or any number of variations, 3 brothers, 2 individual randoms. We will find out in the coming weeks though, so look forward to gaining some insight into that. Wonderful. Well, as we hope for these cheetah to start taking us on a stroll through these open plains, you guys are going to have the joy of joining Byron on foot in a slightly thicker area.
Now, I've just come up onto this very big termite mound. The nice thing from here is I can get a great vantage point to have a look around, see if we see any animals. But also, I just wanted to show how hard and solid this termite mound is. I can't move it. It's amazing. I obviously don't want to break it, but very, very hard. This is a lot harder than the other bit of some soil we found earlier from the termites. Oh, beautiful. It's really incredible. Now the termites have these chimneys that they've built. The reason for that is what will happen is in the summer, especially to regulate the temperature, they'll open the top of the mound, and what happens is the airflow in and out acts as the circulation helps control the temperature within inside the termite mound. And then if it gets too cold, they'll close it up. If it gets too warm, they'll open it wider to circulate cooler air through. So it really is amazing, an amazing system that the termites use to regulate the temperature. Megan, can you just give me those questions again? There was a question about the spider, the largest spider we find on bush, well, in this area. Justin, you were asking what is the largest spider we find out here. So at the moment there actually are very few spiders. We don't see them. They're not as active now in winter. I'm trying to think now, Justin. I think the largest in terms of body and size, I think would be the baboon spiders. Now the baboon spider actually gets its name from each little or each leg, the bottom or the last two segments on each leg. The bottom of those segments look like baboon fingers, and that's where they get the name baboon spiders. But it's basically Africa's tarantula. That's what a baboon spider is. So they do get quite big, and in terms of body and that, I think they're the largest. There are other spiders, the golden orb web spiders, that we'll see towards the end of summer. We'll probably start seeing them. They build these beautiful big webs that go across an entire road sometimes. Wonderful golden coloration to the web, and that's where they get the name golden orb web spider. Now those get quite big. Those with the legs get to about this size. So I'm still holding my porcupine quill. They get to about that size with the legs. Bodies are fairly big, but not as big and chunky as that baboon spider. Those, you get some rain spiders too. Rain spiders can get quite big. Also, just very long legs. They get quite big. So probably rain spider, golden orb web spider, baboon spider. Those are generally the largest that we get down here. But they're not, they're not incredibly massive. I think some of the other spiders around the world get really big, but these will get to about that size, probably somewhere around there. Still pretty big spider. Now we're still having a look. Those leopard tracks that we had, they cut back. Now it's quite confusing because we had leopard tracks, female leopard tracks, all the way on the other side, east of us, that headed south, and then they disappeared. We don't know where they went. Then we had tracks heading back up a road, so we thought maybe she did a loop, but then we had tracks heading this way again, and now they've headed up in this direction. I don't know. It's confusing. The other thing I wonder is often I think we see one set of tracks and we think, well, it's one leopard. There's very possibly two leopards that move through the area. So you always got to be careful of that. Now, yesterday we were sitting at Chitwa Dam. we were sitting at Chitwa Dam, and we're chatting about the crocodiles and that, and Judy H, you sent through just a comment. I think I said there was, from what I knew, there was just the Nile crocodiles that we got, but apparently there's 7 different species of crocodile in Africa, which I didn't know. I didn't know that, so I do apologize. But Judy H, thank you again. It's always nice to get information from our viewers when they research certain things, and we constantly learning out here too. But apparently 3 species of dwarf crocodile, 2 species of thin snouted crocodiles, and 2 species of Nile crocodile, which I had no idea. I thought there was only 1 species of Nile crocodile. Now I wonder if it's not subspecies of Nile, perhaps. Again, just I suppose scientists trying to confuse us even more. It's easy to confuse guides, I suppose. But thank you, Judy H. So that's interesting. So within Africa, I'm definitely going to do some more research on that and try to find out more about the crocodile species. I've never seen or heard of any of these other species before. So it'll be interesting to have a look and find out. I wonder if James or Scott, I think Scott's done some extensive travelling up in Central and East Africa. So I wonder if he's seen some other species of crocodile. We can maybe ask him. All right. I think, why don't we see where those leopard tracks have gone and see if we can find any more. But let's go across now to Taylor and find out what she has got.
We have got some animals sitting in the shadows, Byron. Not the cat that you're searching for, but another cat that we see plenty of here in the Mara Triangle. It is a small group of lions. Now, it's a pity it's so far away. Again, unfortunately, it's a non-off-roading area. We're heading to the off-roading region soon. But between those 2 trees, you may be able to see a beautiful big male, and there are 2 females too. Now, he's a lovely-looking lad. He had a very clean face. He's got quite a large mane. It's nice and dark. So I'm not sure who we're looking at over here. I also don't know which lionesses this could be, because it's sort of in the Angama's territory. They like to roam around here, but there are so many lions around. I kid you not, you sit here and you literally just have to be quiet. And as the night starts to, as the day starts to fade into night, you can just hear roars from all over the show. And it's quite interesting to see how attentive the lions are. They listen to every roar. Obviously, they don't want to get into an altercation, especially the females. When there's young cubs around, that would not be ideal. Just before you came to us, one of the lionesses actually swiped at the male. So I wonder if one of them is not perhaps coming into estrus, because he was showing quite a bit of interest in her, but she was not interested in him whatsoever. It's so difficult, and of course from this distance it's not easy to see any key identifying features like scars or notches in ears, anything like that. And we must be about 80 to 100 meters away from them. So it's quite a distance, but they've got a good spot here. I don't think they will go far at all. I think it's going to be one of the warmer days that we've had, that I've had since I've been in Mara. So I think that they will probably hang around here underneath these lovely shaded trees. It's a very good spot. And maybe the zebra herds that you can see in the background move a bit closer and make an attempted hunt. Now, Afsal, you're wondering, why do all the trees in the Mara have flat tops? Not all of them do. Actually, if you look at some of these, I don't even know what half of these trees are here. I've still got to try and figure them out. But there's I'm pretty sure this one on the left is a matumi tree. It looks like the matumis that we get in South Africa. This one with the long elongated leaves, so that doesn't have a flat top. So I think it's just particular tree species. There's one tree here that reminds me, the bark reminds me of a leadwood, but it's not a leadwood, and it looks like it has little fruits on it. So I don't know what tree it actually is. I need to find out. I'll probably have to ask Scott, or maybe James even knows, or maybe Steph. So when I get back to camp, there's many questions that I'm going to be asking today. And actually, I have a question and a favor from all of you that are watching. Obviously, you've been following the lions now for a couple of months since Brent first arrived, or even last year when James first came to the Mara. So maybe you can help me out here. Like I said, I'm going to start writing down and doing a bit of research on the various prides. But if any of you have got any interesting information on the prides, how many there are, all these different types of things, I would very much appreciate it. So if you can just tag me in some of that information, and then of course use the hashtag Safari Live. It'll just be interesting to read. Isn't that cool? So there they are. I wonder what they're going to do now. I might just sit here just for a little bit. Oh, there's another male coming off to the left. Can you see? Just between this tall tree right in front of us. He's just come out of the drainage line. There we go. You've got him. If you zoom in there, yeah, he's just popping out. Here's another male. Who do we have here? Let's quickly just see if he's going to pop out, because we might actually get a clear view of him through the gaps of these trees. He's stopped for a moment. They're big boys. They're not young fellas. Not like some of the nomadic lions that we have been seeing. Or that one that we saw with Scar yesterday. Here we go. Who have we got here? Lovely big manes. Are you part of... I don't know if the musketeers would come all this way. Like I said, I'm still trying to learn. But you can let me know. You can hashtag Safari Live if you have any idea as to which coalition of male lions this would be. Beautiful boys, though. Lovely lions. He actually looks like he's been through the wars. He looks exhausted. Maybe that's just because he's eaten something. You can see his belly's quite full. Right, I'm going to send you across to James now. And I think it was James. And I think he's also got some cheetah.
Hello. Sadly, James has not found cheetah. It is still Scott and Manu with Malika and her two boys, one of which seems to be brushing his teeth, getting ready for a day out. He's busy chewing on some kind of a small branch there. I can't really make out exactly what it is, but he's been chewing on it for a while, maybe getting ready to chew on something else. It does appear that she and these two boys are going to get up and start moving. They've been a little bit more restless in the last couple of minutes, and we thought we would call you across in the hope that you, together with us and our will to see them get on the move, will in fact get that going. That's a good start. This is looking good. Wonderful. So that's the mom. The two boys can be distinguished in that they're slightly smaller and that they've got a small kind of mohawk. Cute. Some snuggles before they start strolling. It seems is in order. Interestingly, that young male's trying to practice two important things in life: mating and latching onto the prey's neck. So, multitasking on his younger brother. And not uncommon to see young male cats behaving just like that. Ali, you'd like to know, why do cheetah have black tear marks down their eyes? It's difficult to say exactly. It could have something to do with the way it allows light into their eyes at night, or possibly how it helps them track down their prey when they're moving at high speeds, almost like crosshairs in a telescope. But it certainly is one of the distinguishing features between them and leopard. Leopard will not have those tear marks. There you can see the little manes or mohawks sticking up on the two young boys. Tamsi, you'd like to know if cheetahs can climb as well as leopards, and no, they are fairly hopeless climbers when you compare them to the leopards. They can kind of get up trees, and usually trees at more of an angle, but we have seen some cheetah in our time here going up fairly vertical trees. It's just not very pretty going up nor down. So they like to get up there for a vantage point. They also like to defecate on elevated points such as trees and termite mounds. So they can, but they are not good, and a big reason for that is that their legs and their claws are designed for high-speed chases, and their claws are always kind of semi-protracted, sticking out just like a dog would, dog's claws would, whereas the leopard has got claws much like a house cat that can be completely protracted as and when they need to climb trees. So they don't have very sharp claws like lion and leopard, and their legs are fused in a way that they move well at high speeds, but they don't have the same agilities as a leopard's legs would. There's a decent amount of prey in this general area. We won't be able to show you the large herd of impala due to the way the vehicle's positioned, but across to our left there are quite a few Thompson's gazelle, which also are a perfect prey item for a female cheetah. Cindy, you'd like to know if I know the ratio between male cheetah and female cheetah in the Mara at the moment, and I'm not hugely certain of exact numbers, but from what I've gathered it seems fairly similar. I mean, the fact that there's one coalition of 5 males already boosts the male population numbers quite greatly, and there's quite a few other solitary males that move around. There's Malaika, and I've forgotten the names of a lot of the other females simply because I haven't spent much time with them, but there's probably around 4 or 5 other females in the reserve side, and a couple across on the triangle side where Taylor is, but certainly there don't seem to be as many cheetah across on the western side of the river as there are on this eastern side. I'll chat with the researchers and try and find out for you, because it would be interesting to know what the ratio is between males and females. Come on, Malaika, make up your mind and stretch those legs. Your boys are hungry. One of them was chewing on a bush earlier. They're looking out now in the direction of where a large herd of impala was moving. I can still see a couple of them, so maybe she'll head off for them. She doesn't seem to be looking as intently towards the Thompson's gazelles, which we just showed you, so maybe she would prefer an impala for breakfast. What a beautiful scene this is. And I cannot believe how lucky we got this morning with finding them. We literally had been driving for 10 minutes from where we decided to sleep, and cha-ching, they arrived. Just on time. We got to see them on the move a bit before they lay down. They've been lying down for about an hour now, so I'm guessing they're going to start moving soon. We will be sure to let you know as and when they do. But for now, you guys are going to keep moving on foot with Byron in the Sabi Sands.
A little bit and tries to get a view. Alright, now we're busy walking along, and we've cut through a bit of a thicker area now. Come have a look at this, everyone. Let's see if we can get you a view. We have found something to view on foot. Have a look through there, Seb. Can you see that elephant? Straight through there. There we go, look at that. Now this is what I love about the bushwalks. Now I know some of you were asking, what is it about the bushwalks that I really enjoy? Well, viewing animals on foot. I'm just going to watch that elephant. I think, Seb, let's head over here to this termite mound. Maybe we can have a nice view from up here. Just give us a bit of a vantage point. I think that elephant's already picked up on us. I think it knows we are here. It looked like a young bull. I just saw one by itself. So if you come up here, you might get a view just through there. Can you see? There we go. This is awesome. Now, actually, that elephant is quite relaxed. It's feeding again. It's not too phased by us. We've checked the wind already. There's very little wind at the moment, but the general breeze is in our favor, which means the wind is blowing from the elephant towards us. Now, when you view these animals on foot, you've got to take into consideration cover and wind direction, because what will happen is the wind will carry your sound and obviously your scent. Now the animals pick up on your scent very, very quickly. But luckily for us, this elephant hasn't noticed us yet. And what I sometimes do is just get a little bit of soil, and what I do is just drop the so as you can see, the wind is blowing from me to Seb, so away from the elephant. Sorry, Seb. Just dust you off there. But this is awesome. Now, back across to Taylor, who's got some rare ground hornbills.
It's the first ground hornbills I've seen in the Mara, and they are so relaxed. One literally walked right past the car. I don't know if it maybe smelled the coffee that David and I have brewing inside, but it was amazing to see how relaxed they are. Now, we've had some spectacular sightings of the southern ground hornbills down in the Sabi sand in South Africa. However, it's normally at a bit of a distance. These guys are so relaxed. They're like the Kruger hornbills that don't really seem to mind the vehicles whatsoever. Now, that one you could see was digging in some dung, looking for some insects. I'm going to reposition quickly because there's a whole family of them. There was even a little juvenile. Let's see if we can get another view. They're now moving off the road though, so it's not going to be as close. Let me just turn and have a look. They're going that way. Oh, hang on. What did they found here? A bit hard to see. They actually might be coming back this way again. They're moving around quite a bit. There's 1, 2, 3, 4. I think I saw 4 adults and then 1 juvenile. There we go. Gobbling on all sorts of wonderful things. Find us a chameleon. I know a lot of you wouldn't be too pleased if a hornbill caught a chameleon, but it is such a spectacular sight. This is really nice. Now, obviously, these beautiful birds are cooperative. Oh, what have we got there? Is it an African sacred ibis? That's nice to see. Haven't seen one of them for a very long time. Just seen them on the river cam every now and then. But what I was going to say about the hornbills is they are cooperative breeders. So it'll be interesting to see who's the dominant breeding pair here. And the others will just help raise that juvenile. And hopefully it will successfully make it to adulthood. Unfortunately, they don't normally make it to adulthood, which is quite sad. And it'll be with this group for the next 7 years or so. Let's see how look at the size difference. That's actually quite a nice comparison. The African sacred ibis versus the southern ground hornbill. Now, they don't look like they're too much bigger, but I promise you the hornbills are much larger than the ibises, a lot more robust. They've got a massive wingspan too. Quite happily living in harmony. It's interesting. I don't know why I thought that a southern ground hornbill would be a little bit on the bossy side and sort of kick that ibis out of the way. But it doesn't seem to mind it at all. Awesome. Now, we're very, very lucky to, of course, see these birds. Are relatively endangered. And again, to have them so close and not bothered by us at all is really nice. But we'll carry on. We're actually changing our plan now. We're heading towards the riverine thicket. We are looking for leopards. However, Byron has been stalking up to an elephant. Let's go and see how close he's managed to get.
We're just trying to have a look where this elephant has gone. It's moving through a bit of a thicker area, but moving away from us. I don't know if we're going to get another view of it. We'll try our best. Can you see it? That side, Herbie? I can see him. There he is. There he is. I'll see if we can get another view. He's walking fairly quickly away from us. That's a nice view. Yeah. Through there from here, Seb, we might get a really nice view of him. Wonderful. As as I was saying, now I know there were a few questions about what I enjoy most about the bushwalk, and as I was saying, viewing animals on foot like this is for me the best. Now I know every guide is different. I mean, Steph is amazing at finding the little things, talking about little creatures and bush survival and stuff, and I enjoy that. I do enjoy it, but for me the highlight is viewing animals on foot, because it's such a different experience from viewing them on a vehicle. That is a really nice surprise. You see that elephant? Now he keeps moving away from us. I don't know if he's picked up on us just yet, but I wonder, there's actually a nice termite mound. Follow me, Sept. Let's quickly see if we can get a view from this termite mound. And maybe one last view before he moves off. Well, you see, with it being so dry at the moment, walking, we're making a lot of noise, actually, which is not ideal for a bushwalk because of all the leaves and that we can get, that we're crunching on at the moment. Oh, I think he's moved off already. Let me just have a look from up here. He's just behind this other big termite mound. Let's go one more. OD farming. You asked if herd animals have territories like big cats do. No, not necessarily. Some of the animals like say impala, I suppose, not really. Wildebeest will set up a territory for themselves, the males usually. Sure. Watch out there, Seb. I think we'll get a view at this termite mound. He keeps moving away from us. It's making it difficult, but we'll get a view through there again. It's actually quite tricky keeping up with an elephant. So OD farming, sorry. The herd elephants, no. Animals like elephant and that are not territorial. Buffalo, not territorial. Wildebeest, a male might set up a small territory for himself for a period of time and wait for females to come past. But it's not, I mean, that is to an extent a territory. But the predators, like the leopards and the lions, they are very territorial. They'll mark and defend those territories against the other animals. The herd animals, because they've got to cover huge distances looking for food and water, and also there's a bit of competition, but it's not like that of lion or leopard. So no, they're not as territorial, not at all. Let's just see if we can get another view over here. That's right. Yeah. Just having a look over here. It's amazing how these large grey animals, I think, you know what, let's try it from up here, Seb. We might just get a view of him from the termite mound, from the top of the termite mound. Now again, you should not do this unless you are with a professional guide. Don't just walk in the bush by yourself. It does take years of experience. Let's just see. No, unfortunately the bush is too thick. We're not going to get another view. But let's go across to Taylor with a bird, and we'll see you shortly.
It's a new bird for me. It's a grey-backed shrike. No, greyback fiscals, sorry. There was a whole bunch of them. There they fly. There must have been about 20 or 30 of them together. Then it's nice to see how gregarious they are, but off they have gone. Sorry we didn't get a long enough view of them. When one flies, they tend to follow. They've gone down that way. I don't know if we'll get another view of them. But this is a spectacular road. It's so beautiful out here. It's very lush. There's lots of trees that leopards could be hiding around in, which will be really good spotting. I think if we can find one here. It's quite dense as well. Some elephants just feeding about. I don't know if this road goes all the way along the tree line, which is not ideal for us. I mean, ideally when we're looking for leopards, we want to be right up against the trees. But beautiful nonetheless. But we'll keep seeing if we can find some interesting birds, or if we can find a spotted cat. I'm going to send you back to James. And apparently he's had some gremlin issues with his comms.
Right, hello everybody again. What we have here is the splendor of the Mara Triangle spread out in front of us. You haven't seen us since we left the Mara Main Reserve way down south. We have found massive herds of wildebeest still heading down to the south, crossing at those steep crossings and heading into the National Reserve. But interestingly, huge puddles and obviously a huge amount of rain here last night. And so I think they'll turn around and come back eventually. There are some buffalo. And let us just take time to appreciate the gentle breeze of the morning. Oh! And just take a deep breath in and out as the grass waves in this northeasterly breeze, which is an unusual breeze for here. It's normally northwest to southeast. I think it swings as the sun comes up, and that's probably why the balloons always fly at dawn. Now, what we're going to do is drive along the river and see what's going on there. There does seem to be some sort of congregation of vehicles at one point. I suspect very strongly it is a lion, but there are no crossings just yet over this side. And what's interesting, I think, is that, you know, we talk about the Thompson's gazelles being a major part of the migration. I have seen very few, and I'm 90% sure that the Thompson's gazelles I have seen are resident here. They're just the odd one dotted about the place. I don't think that the huge herds of them that we saw last year crossing the rivers, I don't think they're here. And I imagine that they will come shortly. I hope that they will come shortly. Anyway, the season progresses. We keep learning as we go along. Lots of new phenomena that we've seen and learnt about. Lots of new birds and things like the ones that Taylor's just found for you. Let me turn the car off, because then we can just roll down this hill without the sound of this deeply aged. I think they've probably put a tractor engine in this car, if I'm not mistaken. I'm sure this breeze is going to herald yet more rain. Now, I believe that Byron Serrao is still in South Africa. That is unsurprising. And he is now driving through the bushes in his Land Rover, and he loves Land Rovers very much.
We lost that elephant, or it lost us, moved away from us, but what a nice surprise to see that beautiful elephant on foot. Now we're looking at a broken or pushed over marula tree at the moment, and with these you often get a lot of insects, and there was some spider webs that Sebastian actually framed earlier in there. I don't see any spiders in there, probably, you know, spider webs, but I don't see any spiders at the moment. Not as active in the winter, the spiders. I'm having a look around here. So this is always nice. You get to see little insects under the bark. But there's not much at the moment, and again I think it's with the winter and the lack of moisture in the air, not as active, but you can see they're like little pupa and larvae inside there. I don't know if you can see that. Can you see that? Seb, in just underneath there, under that bark. Looks like little white eggs, or it's a bit tough. It's not easy to.
White stuff.
Yeah.
This white stuff here. Because that stuff there. Oh,
don't worry. Yeah,
this?
a little bit in there. Yeah.
Maybe if you find
Don't worry. It's all right, Seb. I think I can't actually get in there. It looks just like eggs or something from an insect, or it looks like pupa, but old, broken. It's not whole anymore. But it just shows you how so many different insect species will use these broken trees, and we often think that the elephants do so much damage and they destroy an area, but they create a micro ecosystem for all these animals. For all these insects, they can have this as a habitat, as a home. Everything will be living under these pushed over trees. This thicket over here where these branches have fallen over, scrub hares, little birds, they will nest in there, they'll be inside there. So there's actually a lot that gets created, a lot of how can we put it, a lot of good that comes from elephants pushing over trees and breaking branches. There's so many animals that do benefit from it, so it's not always a bad thing. Well, luckily the temperatures actually stayed nice and cool. It started off warming up a bit this morning. I thought, it's going to get hot, but it stayed nice and cool, which is perfect for a bushwalk. I'm glad we got to see an elephant. Something exciting. Roshni, you asked if I've what is my most memorable sighting I've had on bushwalk. Now, I'm trying to think, Roshni, you know what, the one day we went out, and okay, I've viewed elephant and that on foot a lot. We had a wonderful elephant sighting. The one day, I think it was myself and Jandre and Herbie, and we got a big bull elephant, and he came quite close to us, and we got him on bushwalk. That was awesome, very close actually. But another amazing sighting I had, which I really enjoyed, was we were walking, and next thing a snake moved next to us, and we quickly turned to look, and it was a boomslang, or a tree snake, which we know is very venomous, but they are very placid snakes. They tend to move away from you very quickly, and this snake headed up into a tree, and as it was moving to the tree, we were watching it, and then we saw two white-faced scops owls sitting hidden in the tree. We wouldn't have seen them if it wasn't for the snake. The snake was one side of the tree and the owls were on the other side. It was just a unique sighting, seeing these two creatures in the same tree and broad daylight. So we had wonderful views of them, and that was probably one of my best bush walk sightings here on Djuma. Sure. It's thirsty work, this bushwalk. Roshni, you said you hope my eye is better. My eye is fine. Thank you very much, Roshni. Just, you know what, we get so many insects that fly into our eyes. You can ask all the other guides. It's not very pleasant. Sorry, these wires tangling myself up here, actually. And we get so many insects flying into our eyes at night when we are out on drive. It happens a lot. It's actually quite unpleasant, but it's one of the things that we've got to put up with. Alright, well, it sounds like Taylor's spending a lot of time with Hippo this morning, and she's got some more to show you.
They keep finding me, but we found some hippos here that look like they have had a seriously big night out, and perhaps they have a grass hangover. I'm not sure, but especially that one that's got its little stubby legs tucked underneath its body. I promise it is alive if you had any doubt and you thought that perhaps it's dead. No, this is just what hippos look like when they are sunbathing out in the open. Very happy hippos too. You can imagine it's not too hot out here as well. It's so pleasant, the weather. It's really quite nice. Barring the wind, I'm not too much of a fan on. But you can see, look at that sheen. And I suppose they have that sort of oily, shiny look to them because of the hipposudoric acid, the blood sweat, which they secrete. And that's important to secrete that, especially if you are going to sunbathe like this. Mild sunblock. I was telling you how easily they can dehydrate, but I don't think it'll spend all day out here, probably just enjoying the morning warmth, and as the day gets hotter and hotter, we'll venture back into the water where the rest of the hippo seem to be laying about. No big crocs. I can't see any crocodiles. I'm actually scanning on the edge of the banks. I can't see anything just yet. I want to see if I can find that crocodile we had the other morning that were quite funny. Actually, there's one thing I want to show you. It's a very, very rare bird. I have not seen one of these in a very long time. It's just situated up on the right-hand side of the bank. Can you see which ones I'm talking about, David? Quickly, before they fly away. I'm joking. It's not a rare bird. It is a pair of Egyptian geese grazing about on the banks of the Mara River. Wonderful. And a couple of little swallows and things flying in between. Scott's still sitting with the cheetah, and I'm sure he's going to spend most of the day there. Let's go see what they're up to.
They seem to have lost that little bit of restlessness, although what has she just seen? Is there something approaching her? She's just tweaked her head. That got me quite excited, but I'm looking in the direction that she is and can't seem to spot anything. Very close at least. Maybe she's looking at something way off in the distance. But certainly there doesn't appear to be anything nearby. So yes, now we're deciding how long to stay here, or should we go off in search of other cheetah? Do we spend the whole day out and then go and sleep tonight, or do we go and sleep today and then spend the whole night out? We are trying to work out what our best plan of attack is. But for now, I think we'll spend at least another half an hour here working out what to do. It's a bit tricky at the moment. We're all trying to spend as much time out as possible, but of course we need to get food and sleep at some points. We can sleep on the vehicles, but it's not quite as comfortable as it needs to be, so it's not a deep charge. Good. Well, like I say, we aren't going anywhere just yet, but we may plan on heading off in search of other action and or a bed. In the meantime, though, you're going to be joining James with a herd of elephants.
Yes, a herd of elephants here at the main south crossing. They are not crossing, they are having a drink. There they go. I'm just cleaning my monitor so I can see what's going on. Beautiful light, and you can see the wind blowing very strongly indeed. And I think elephants must really enjoy living in the Mara. There's lots to eat. And most importantly, there's this lifeline of a river which never dries up, well, very, very seldom dries up, flowing through the middle. New water coming down each day. I think it's a great elephant place to live. Now, we've been asked many times about what animals cross here. We know the wildebeest and zebra dirt. We've seen topi crossing. We haven't seen any tommies this year, but we have seen them last year. We have seen elephant crossing. We've seen one giraffe crossing. And we've had one very, very interesting lion crossing as well. So we've had some very nice crossings of animals. And I'm still trying to think if there's anything that I haven't seen cross the river that I think possibly would. Maybe waterbuck. They might go across. But certainly we've seen impala come down, stick their heads in. They haven't crossed the river yet. But it's always so interesting to see what is prepared to take the risk, and then to try and work out why on earth they would do it. Now, we've discussed also the difference in tusks between here and South Africa, between here and the Kruger. And we've made mention of the thickness, that they're probably thicker in the Kruger than they are here. But here, I think on average they are longer. And also the females often have those sort of decurved tusks in the same way that that bulls might. In Kruger, I find the females there, the cows, have got much straighter tusks. They don't have the curved ones that they do here. And they're very peaceful. There's nothing quite so peaceful as watching elephants. Listen, I've never heard of this. It's fascinating. You say, do black rhino gather in groups on full moon nights like they do in Botswana? Liz, I have never heard of this phenomenon before. Certainly as we drove around in the full moon last night, wafting our spotlight around, we didn't see any great gatherings of black rhino dancing or singing druidical tunes. I'm just being slightly facetious there. So no, I mean, they might. I'm not sure. We certainly didn't see any evidence of it. But Liz, if you could give me some sort of reference for the Botswana phenomenon, I'd be really, really interested. If you could tweet it through to us, that'd be great. Heat is starting to build a little bit now, which is nice after a chilly morning, and I think that's why animals are coming down to drink. And I did just want to share with you one more thing about what we saw down south without you, unfortunately, and well, it's not actually that unfortunate for you. We saw a huge number of dead wildebeest still at the Burungat Bridge. That's the bridge at the far south. And we must have seen 200 carcasses of wildebeest there that have drowned somehow, being eaten by hundreds of vultures and marabou storks. I'm sure the hyenas come down at night. There's a huge resource of food sitting down there, and how those animals died, why they died, I'm not sure. But it was a really... It's quite easy to just kind of gloss over it. You sort of drive over, you see, oh, there's a pile of dead wildebeest, and keep going until you stop and you look and you think, wow, it's almost like a mass grave of them. And then it becomes quite disturbing, the number of them that die, and seemingly needlessly, you know. I mean, I don't know why they cross the river. I don't know why they panic when they're in the river like they do, but they do. And they're the only animals that seem to, yes, there's the odd zebra that does it, but really not so many as the wildebeest. I wondered exactly the same thing, Sable. You wanted to know what stops the animals from just using the bridge. I think it's just fear. They don't know what it is. They don't actually understand what a bridge is. And I was just thinking to myself, if I was a wildebeest, well, I'd be going down south and crossing the bridge. I'd been getting into the water at all. Really good question. Let's see if the elephants are still drinking. They are still drinking. I just want to quickly see that thing with the big tusks there. It might be a young bull, in which case he's going to be a monstrously magnificent fellow one day. Yeah, I think he is. Fern, did you say, could you still enjoy bathing in the Mara with so many crocs? Is that the correct question, Alice? Oh, elephants bathing. Yes, they absolutely do. They don't have to worry too much about crocodiles. I thought you were asking, Fern, if I found bathing less pleasant here because of the crocodiles. I was going to say I'm more of a shower man than a bath man. But here we have a herd of elephants that would happily take to the water to swim. The thing with this water is, I think much more than the crocs, Fern, is that it's not still, and it's very seldom deep enough for them to have proper swims. We have seen them have swims from time to time, but these crossing points are full of rapids, and so they tend to be much more drinking points than swimming points for things like these elephants. But yes, they'd absolutely swim in the water if the fancy took them. A crocodile, although weighing up to a ton, is not any kind of competition for an elephant. Now, Byron Sawarau, off in South Africa, has managed to find himself a footprint in the sand. It is the footprint of a rodent, a very large and protected rodent, the biggest rodent in Africa.
Have a look at this, everyone. We saw the quills earlier. We saw a quill of a porcupine. Now we've got a track. That's not very clear, but here are toes. 1, 2, 3, 4 toes around there. But the back pad is what I'm more interested in. You can see segments. There's a little pad. There's a little pad. There's a little pad. So you can see this is a porcupine track. Now this is actually a nice one here, Seb. Sorry if we can look just at this one. There, let me circle it for you. So there you can see the toes a little bit. You can see some claw marks in the sand, and then you can see the divisions in the back pad. Now honey badger, the toes are a little bit rounder, but there aren't as many divisions in the back pad. It's almost, I think, just 2 divisions at the back, but the pad at the back is obviously a bit elongated and much bigger than that. But the porcupine has got these clear divisions in the back pad. Unfortunately, I don't have my book with me, and I would show you the difference very clearly. It's nice to see the difference between the porcupine and the honey badger track, but this is porcupine that's walked through here during the course of the night. Now, we were chatting yesterday, why don't we see these animals? Porcupine, aardvark, we see their tracks, they are around, but we just don't see them. The thing is, they mainly, because they are so nocturnal, they mainly come out late at night. So when we're not out on drive, when we're not driving around, when it's quieter, when the bush is quieter, it's not as much activity, then these animals come out and start moving around. But nice to see their tracks. We know they're in the area, and you never know. We could bump into them at some stage. Tonight is full moon, as most of you know, and we've been chatting about how it affects animals and what would potentially happen on a full moon. Well, firstly, for the predators, actually, I don't know if it affects the predators that much, but for the herbivores, it will make a huge difference. Now, the thing is the herbivores will be able to see a lot better. It's a lot brighter, and they can see much clearer, so the chances of them changing behavior slightly are pretty good. They might decide to stay out in the, or not necessarily just stay out in the open. They could potentially move through thickets and that, because they can see so much better. Last night, I switched the lights off as we were driving back to camp, and I was saying to Sebastian, look how bright it is while we are out here. It's amazing to see the difference in light when it is full moon, even for us. Now, if we can see clearly, imagine what those animals can see like. So it will definitely benefit the herbivores, or the animals that fall prey to predators. It will definitely benefit them. And the predators might not be as active. They might not be actively hunting. They would still, I mean, they're still opportunistic, and they'll try, but it's going to be a lot harder when it's full moon. Now, some of you were saying it's almost coffee time. So the one thing about the bushwalk is we can't have coffee. I can't carry the flask with me, so we don't have coffee. I've got to wait until we get back to camp. Here's some lovely little tracks. Look at this little... Okay, well, this is the very rare track of Herbert. There we go. But look here, these little scuff marks in the sand. I'm going to ask some of you, what do you think this might be? Send us your answers. #Safari Live. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, all these little tracks going along here. Look at that little scuff mark. Round track. I'll show you. Sorry, my shadow's in the way. There's a nice little round track, but not very clear. It's just like a little dab in the sand. What do you think that might be from? I'll give you a clue. It's nocturnal. It is nocturnal. So have a think. Send me your answers. Let's go across to Scott, who's got cheetah and hyena.
Well, as you can see, there is a hyena, and for a moment I thought it was going to come up towards where these cheetah were, but it's headed off in the opposite direction now, and it seems to be in quite a hurry to wherever it's going. I wonder what the rush is. The cheetah alerted us to its presence because they sat up and looked intently in its direction. It was still probably a third of a mile away from them. You can see so far in these large open plains, and they were just making sure that it wasn't going to come and cause any trouble. Not that it would, in all likelihood, due to the fact that there's not much food. Well, they don't have a kill that they're trying to defend or protect, and even against just one hyena, a cheetah would 9 times out of 10 abandon their kill. The cheetah, as you can see, are just over to our right, still relaxing, still working out what to do for the day. There's a cool breeze blowing, so even though it's sunny, it's certainly not hot. You would have noticed I'm still wearing my big jackets, under which I have 2 jerseys and then a t-shirt, so still have all the layers on, but it will start heating up in the next hour or so. The kind of 11 o'clock to 2 o'clock hours can be quite warm, but for now still favorable conditions for these cheetah to move in. Oh, there's the cheetah researchers in the background in their little car. Hello, Anna Marie. You would like to know if we are going to be out tonight during the beautiful full moon, and I'm not too sure. The reason being is we're in a bit of a conundrum. We are not sure whether to spend the day with these cheetah and sacrifice our planned sleep today, and then maybe heading to a camp for a proper sleep this evening, once these guys would have hopefully made a kill for us, or at least some attempted hunts. So we're still trying to weigh up what to do to manage our battery packs, as well as keep you guys in the best possible position to see live safari action. So we have yet to decide, but we'll be sure to keep you posted on our plans. Absolutely awesome. It seems like they may be getting ready to move now. This is the first time that all 3 of them have been up, so let's hope they decide to take us on a stroll. It sounds like you guys have been doing a quiz with Byron, and I hope you have all done a good job and submitted your answers already, because you're about to go back and find out what is what.
Yeah, we can. Now we've got some hippo tracks heading along the road too. You can see some very clear hippo tracks. There's the back pad around here, and 1, 2, 3, 4 toes. 4 toes going in this direction. Hang on a second, I just hear something. Herbie spotted something as well. Is it, I think it's elephant. I just heard them now. I can hear the elephant. We're just going to go back. Follow me, Seb. Just come back this side. Yeah, it's elephant. Okay, we'll just see, have a look here. It's a herd of elephant. Okay, we're going to sit quietly, stand quietly here. I think the wind is in our favor still. Sorry everyone, we just need to be cautious and aware. Yeah, the wind is in our favor, but look at them, the whole herd's coming. We're just going to stand quietly. If we need to, we've got some big trees behind us. Oh, look here. Now the wind's perfectly in our favor. I can hear some others to our left, so we'll just have to be very cautious. And look at that, an entire herd. They just came out of nowhere. You can see they're moving quite quickly. They haven't even noticed us yet, which is perfect. But we do have to be careful. A breeding herd of elephant can sometimes be a bit unpredictable with the youngsters and the females. Wow, isn't this great? What a nice surprise. What a nice surprise. I think let's just head back a little bit here, Seb. I'm just going to come to this side of the road. I think let's stand behind this thicket over here. think, Seb, yeah, let's just stand over here. You know what, it's not much, but it gives us just a little bit of cover that we don't stand out. So we're just standing behind some trees. The elephants are still very comfortable. Look at them moving through there. Oh, this is great. This is really exciting. I'm still scanning behind us the whole time, just having a look if there aren't others that are possibly in moving through the thickets behind us. The wind is still in our favor, so they haven't noticed us yet. But it's amazing. We were walking, and we just heard the bushes and the branches. These elephants. Look, there's some youngsters there too. Wonderful. What a nice way to end off this little stint that I've been here for, viewing one of my favorite animals on foot, and I don't even know we're here yet. Now that is perfect for a bushwalk, is if you can view animals and they don't know you're here, and you can just appreciate and view them and watch them in their natural habitat, natural environment, and their natural behavior. And off they go. Mrs. Zero, you said what a special moment. It really is. It really is a special moment. And we're not far from them. We probably, I'd say 70 meters away from that whole herd. Now, they were closer earlier. They were about 50 or 60 meters away. Now they're about 70 meters from us. So that's not far at all. Now, as we walk through and carry on, we will still just have to be cautious and careful. There aren't one or two at the back stragglers that are possibly following the herd, maybe a bull, you never know. So we just, whenever you're on a walk and you see animals, always look around. There might be others dotted around somewhere. Bushes and trees in my face. OD farming, you think there's quite a lot there? I couldn't tell. I didn't actually do a count. I think there's possibly about 20 odd elephant around. That is awesome. That is such a nice surprise. As I said, everyone, always be cautious and only do these bushwalks with somebody who's got the qualifications and experience. Sorry, I couldn't hear the name. Cheetah? Sorry. Cheetah, you asked, is it true that elephants always walk the same route? No, not at all. The elephants will constantly change routes and directions, moving in different directions. However, there are certain areas where elephants know routes to water, and especially when they've got to move and in search for food and water different times of the year, they'll probably move in a similar direction. Yes, the exact same route, unlikely. And there's a camp actually in Zambia, I think. And the camp they built this camp in an area that the elephants used to move through regularly to go and feed on certain trees. And these elephants now move straight through that camp. They walk through that camp every year. It's amazing to see. But they obviously know the food is there, the water's there. Those ellies are still... Now I've just moved off a little bit more. That was great. They're still there. Sorry, so we can just see, if you want to just have a look through there, you can just see them. The herd is still standing. Now the wind is actually still in our favor. This is really special. Like I said, with the bushwalks, just make sure you with a qualified guide, someone who's got experience. And I always say, I don't mind approaching animals and viewing them on foot, but you always have to maintain that level of respect and and just view the animals with the idea that you don't want to disturb them. That's the best way to view animals. Like now, these elephants they still have no idea we're here. The wind is in our favor. There's a bit of cover. They haven't seen us. That's why they're still feeding there. No trumpeting, absolutely nothing. No sign of any aggression. That is such a nice surprise. And I wonder if anyone's got some answers for me on that quiz of the tracks that I had, the little tracks in the sand. Now, Roshni, you say honey badger. Sorry, Roshni. No, remember I was explaining the honey badger. You would be able to see the toes clearly. You could see the back pad very clearly. That was just a little dab in the sand. White owl and deer watcher, you say genet tracks. No, genet track is much smaller, and you would also be able to see the toes clearly and the little back pad. But a genet track is very small. Genet track is about this big. Oh, Ali and Shannon, you got it right. You say scrub hare. It was a little scrub hare. Now you just see, because of those hairy little paws of the scrub hare, you just see the little dab in the sand, a little scuff mark. See if I can find another one around here. There's plenty of scrub hare tracks, but it's just a little dab in the sand, and that's a scrub hare. So that's what those were. Unfortunately, I don't see any others right now. Alright, now let me just quickly show you something. I saw a track here. Sorry, Seb. Here we go. This animal over here is quite a large track. See that track? There's a whole foot or hand, a thumb, and some fingers. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now this track belongs to the animal that Taylor has.
We've got zebra and we've got olive baboons. They're so cool, they're so fluffy. It's actually really nice to see them. There's quite a big troop moving through here now. They were just grazing out in the open, but they seem to be moving into some of the thicker vegetation. Don't seem to mind the zebra too much. Just, literally standing at the hoof. Wow, that's a bit dangerous. I don't know if I'd be as brave as that olive baboon to sit right at the feet of a zebra. I know what they can be like. They can be a little bit on the temperamental side. But here they are, feeding amongst the trees, jumping around. There's actually quite a few little ones here and there, which is really, really, really nice to see. They're always very entertaining, some of the adults, just feeding about. Now, they eat a bit of everything, I suppose. They eat nice green grass shoots. They will eat lovely, lush leaves. They will eat insects. And I wonder if the olive baboons, Oh, you've got the baby. Well spotted, David. I wonder if these olive baboons do similar things to the chukma baboons, which we see in South Africa, and feed on impala lambs. We'll have to wait and see. Hopefully we'll be able to see something like that. I would imagine that they would do something similar just to supplement their diet. What's going on over here? There's lots of commotion. Have we got a mini crossing of zebra? We do too. Not quite in the extreme. They're not going to get captured by Kapchad. Every time I say that one, I want to say it like Kapchad. I don't know. What's wrong with me? Like doing a little crossing here through this drainage line. But like I said, there's no big crocodiles, no raging torrents. Do you all remember the raging torrent that the Mulwati was at one point? That was funny when Jamie said that. They're jumping out. And then they're jumping. Now, Sam, there's a car coming. That looks like there's a chef on board with those big hats. Big white hats, obviously. Oh, you know what they've just done? That car that just came past us here has obviously just set up a bush breakfast. Alice, please may I have the name again of Sam, there we go, I can't even talk. So the question is from Sam, and that is, are the olive baboons the only primates that we see? It's the only ones I've seen so far, but I'm sure you get vervet monkeys up here, and as well as the Sykes monkeys, if I'm not mistaken. But I have yet to see them, Sam. So, but I do think that they occur around here in this area. Not quite as big as a Chukma baboon. Here comes the little one running across. You better be careful because there's a car coming. Off the road, another little one on its way, just walking across very casually. Goodness, it's a massive troop of baboons around here. They're everywhere. Up in the trees, down on the ground. Very cool. Now, David and I have been spending quite a bit of time trying to find leopards. So we've been driving a lot of these river roads and these thickets, but we haven't had any luck just yet. But I suppose I can't complain. It is the first time I've really sort of made an effort to try and find a leopard. But that's okay. We'll keep searching about you. Oh, wow. So it sounds as though James has managed to find a huge elephant.
Wow, we have indeed found a huge elephant. It's a cow I know, and she's often around this area, and I think she's the matriarch of this herd. Just excuse the vehicles going past there, obviously on their way somewhere else, much more important than where we are right now. So we'll just pop across the road to the rest of the herd, which is over there, and I'm pretty sure that uneven tusked cow is the matriarch of this little herd. And they're often in and out of the trees here on the banks of the Mara River, and I'm rather jealous of them because I would love to go wandering through those woodlands and see what we could find. I find being in amongst trees like that tremendously peaceful. And I think if you could get in amongst the trees on the banks of the Mara and avoid being, well, so we say, enthusiastically kissed or greeted by a hippopotamus, I think it would be rather wonderful. Now, we have come through the plains along the river and found that there are almost no wildebeest and zebra at all. So it is very interesting to see how they have just disappeared. Mr. P, you're wondering if a crocodile could take down an elephant. The answer is a very small one, I suppose, possibly. But an adult, absolutely no chance. A big crocodile weighs about 1,000 kilograms. An adult cow elephant weighs about 3,500 to 4,000 kilograms. So even though she is, substantially smaller than a bull at 6 tons, she's still at least 3 times the mass of the biggest crocodile that you can get. And so, no, it would be extremely unlikely that a crocodile could ever take an elephant, except a small one, of course, because the little ones are vulnerable. But because they live in a herd, it's very unlikely that they would ever be left alone for a sufficient period that a crocodile could get in there. And also, unlike many animals, including the wildebeest, elephants will help their distressed ones. So if a crocodile grabbed a little one, it's almost certain that all of the adults would barrel in and chase the crocodile off. And as we've seen, especially with Scott and those cheetah, we've seen one incident where one of the wildebeest bulls has turned around to try and save one of the youngsters who had been taken out, and he didn't succeed. He came in once, hit one of the cheetah, and then he ran off again. And most of the time, you just watch them kind of taking or being taken down, and it's quite amazing because they could, if they turned and they faced their predators, often they'd be able to chase them off. Well, with elephants, it's very different. Elephants will always face their predators, and they will not tolerate predators who try and take out their youngsters, and they will almost certainly beat up anything that comes along and tries to harm them. Zaz, you're wondering if elephant and hippo will mingle. No, they won't mingle. You will see them together, but they won't mingle. I mean, absolutely, you will sometimes find them, like at Chitwa Dam, for example. You'll often find elephants there in amongst the hippo. But what we have seen when it got very dark, when it got very dry at Djuma last year, remember there was the hippo sitting in the pan at the dam cam there, and the elephants used to chase him out every so often. So when water gets scarce, the elephants become very intolerant of anybody trying to drink the last remaining water, and the hippo was one of them. Here's a young bull who's coming across to join the rest of the herd, which is very nice for him, I think, I'm imagining. Doesn't want to be too far away from home just yet, young as he is. And then we also have quite a nice sighting of what I believe, much darker species of lilac-breasted roller. It's not a darker species, it's a darker variant of the lilac-breasted roller there. And I say darker because they're definitely darker here in the Mara than they are in South Africa. Now, I believe Baron has just been with an elephant on foot. I'm not going to say anything about the broomstick. And he's now looking down at the ground to see what has left its mark on the bush newspaper.
Now we're still just doing some last minute tracking while we're walking around, trying to show you some wonderful little tracks. And here's some wonderful little ones. Let me show you. Look here. Here we go. These are very clear. Look at that, Seb. Can you see that? There's 1, 2, 3, 4 toes and a tiny little back pad. There was the other track over there. This one is on top of that. Here you can see again the 2 tracks, the one on top of the other. This is a little genet that moved through this area during the course of the night. You see a very small little track, about the size of my thumb almost. I suppose I've got chubby thumbs maybe. But about the size of my thumb, the top of my thumb. It's warming up quite nicely now. That's one thing about the bushwalk, is you stay, or you get warm very quickly, because we're not on the vehicle just with the cold breeze. Stunt gnome. Is it stunt gnome? Sorry, I struggled to hear Megan. Stunt drone, sorry. Stunt drone, you asked, does it get very cold in the Sabi Sands? Well, to be honest, it doesn't really. Not to the extent to the rest of South Africa. Other parts of South Africa, the temperature can drop substantially, get into single figures. This area, the coldest I've ever had it has been down to about 2 degrees or 0 degrees in winter on an early morning. But generally, no, it doesn't get that cold out here. So, I mean, at the moment it's about 22 degrees Celsius, which is just over 70 degrees Fahrenheit. So it's actually quite nice for this time of year. We've enjoyed the bushwalk this morning. I think it's been fun, something different, and luckily we saw the elephant. We couldn't find or track the leopard. No luck in that. I think those leopards moved through this area during the course of the night, so we wouldn't be able to find them anyway. And they actually cover huge distances, so it's not that easy when they are walking around. But those herds of ellies, or that one elephant in the beginning and then that herd, that was really nice. The dwarf mongoose, we got to see the dwarf mongoose. And while we're walking, they're constantly having a look out for little tracks. We've seen porcupine tracks, scrubhead tracks. We've seen little genet tracks. We've seen tracks of Herbert. I'm still scanning constantly because there's been a lot of elephant around and it's been quite windy, so we just have to be cautious. Anyway, let's go across to Taylor, who's still doing some birding in the Mara.
We've just missed, well, not us, Davy and I saw it, this crowned hornbill eating a chameleon. It was spectacular. Very cool. It's the first time I've ever seen a crowned hornbill gobble up a chameleon, and I was talking about the southern ground hornbills finding chameleons this morning, so that was quite nice. I haven't seen a crowned hornbill in a very long time, so you'd see them occasionally down in the south in the Sabi sand, close to the Sabi river, but they're not particularly common up where we are able to traverse in South Africa. Now, I know it's an obscured view. I'm hoping that it flies to the next branch, but they're beautiful birds, quite easy to identify. Quite a red-orange bill, very white underside to them. There they go. And then quite a dark back as well. That was so great. Oh, that one is just sat. If you zoom in and then to the little bit to the left of this main tree that we've got, there's one in there. A little bit to the right. Keep going. Okay, center of your, a little bit off center. Oh, no, where's it gone? I think it has actually taken off and flown off with the other one. Right, let's go back to Scott and the cheetah.
Yay! The cheetah have finally got up and mobile, and therefore so have we. I'm hoping that they're going to come and perch themselves up on this termite mound just ahead of us over here. So I'm going to wait on the other side of it in the hope that they do, and we'll get some great views of them. Although, let me just look back. I think there's another one, not quite as high and as prominent, but I think they're going to pop up onto this one over here. So we shall wait and see. They're quite easy animals to predict when they're on the move, which makes our lives a lot easier. The males often head from big tree to big tree as they are scent marking as they go, but the females won't be. They'll only be scent marking when they're in season. And isn't this just the most wonderful sight? 3 cheetah coming straight down the barrel towards us. They've started their morning a little bit late, but that's fine. Better late than never. And I'm glad we've decided to stick it out with them. There doesn't seem to be a huge amount of prey in the immediate area. However, there were 2 impala not too far away, 2 males. Hello Shravan, you'd like to know if I've ever been lucky enough to witness cheetah at full speed, and yes, I certainly have. Only on a handful of occasions in my guiding career before we came to the Mara. We've been spoiled rotten with some incredible takedowns. It's been fairly easy for the cheetah that we've been following. There's been 5 males that we've been spending the majority of our time with, and they haven't really had to do any ridiculous hunts in terms of skill and hardship, because they've simply had so many opportunities. But we have seen them at full tilt, and if you haven't, I would suggest not going anywhere, because there's a strong chance this lady will show us just how quick a cheetah can move at some point today. And even if it's not during this sunrise safari, we are planning on spending the whole day out. So as soon as any hunting or action occurs, we'll be sure to go live on Facebook and a number of various other platforms. So you can follow the action even though the morning safari has finished. Krista, you'd like to know which of the big cats is my favorite, and for the time being, it is the cheetah. It used to be the leopard, but now I think the cheetah are in pole position. I tend to chop and change my mind with regards to what my favorite animals / sightings are or have been. But let's see if we can reposition so we can get them moving again. There's not too much longer of the sunrise safari, so I just want to make sure we get you the best possible views. I wonder what they're actually doing here. They may spend some time here. So let's just actually work out what it is they're doing. They could be having a drink out of a little puddle. And that is, I think, what is happening. There must be a very small little puddle there that they're taking a sip out of. Yeah, it looks like that's what they're doing. but difficult to see exactly what it is they're lapping up in terms of the quality of water. I wouldn't have expected to find much water there, but obviously there's been some rain here. The rain is incredibly localized to be found in this ecosystem, so some areas may get and others not within a very, very short distance of one another. Beautiful. A big buffalo in the background there, and that is one of the joys of the Mare, is that we get such incredible views of so many of Africa's iconic species, often all in one frame. Okay, I just want to reposition once more to give you a view of where they're heading towards. Have turned and is looking towards the two male impala that I saw a bit earlier. So they are at 1 o'clock, Manu. A little bit to the right of that. To the right of that road. There we go. So there is some possible prey. There's also a Thompson's gazelle there, and she is looking in their direction. So like I said, stay tuned on our notification pages. If you don't know how to get the notifications, I'm sure if you just ask somebody on Facebook or check our Facebook page, it will work out quite well. Thanks so much for joining us on the Sunrise Safari. It's been great fun, and we'll be sure to be out again this afternoon.